everyone, welcome once again to the B-Movie Bunker. Today we are looking at The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. Peter Jackson tackles Middle-earth once again. And unfortunately, at least in my opinion, he does not do anywhere near as good a job as he did with the Lord of the Rings films. And I'm going to get to the reasons why in a moment, but first I'm going to highlight some of the good parts of this movie. Filmed beautifully. It is a beautiful film to watch as far as how it looks. However, a little negative, I think Jackson spends a little too much time doing the whole sweeping vistas and the helicopter shots, and look at the broad landscape, and look at them walking across these mountains, and look at them walking across these fields, and look at them walking here, and look at this shot here. Enough. I understand it's a big world, it's epic, it's grand. I get it. I don't need to see it every 35 seconds. Another wide shot of the whole... Okay, fine. I understand the world's big and grand and blah, blah, blah. I want the story. Move along the story. You're stretching this out into 3 movies. I want more than just scenes of them walking and grand landscape shots. The dwarves themselves are brilliant. Armitage brings, I think, great emotional depth to the character Thorin Oakenshield. The rest of the dwarves done really well. The whole scene where they show up at Bilbo's house, and I mean it's in a lot of ways that's how I pictured it myself in the book. And yes, there is going to be a more whimsical feel to this story. It's more lighthearted. It's more of a children's tale than the original Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings itself. I understand that. I can accept that. I expect that. I expect this to be a little more lighthearted fare. I know they've done a little bit to kind of, darken it up a bit. Fine. I got no problem with that. But just some of the changes that he made to the actual story. And I'm not talking about the added stuff, like the whole thing with the necromancer and all that. I have no problem with that. That's stuff that, I've read about. I've read all of Tolkien's Lost Tales and all the extra, appendices and add-ons and other books and stuff finished by his son and now his grandson, blah, blah. I get all that. I don't like some of the changes he made to the actual story of The Hobbit and the way things take place in the actual story. He changed some things around. I'm not going to get specifics. I don't want to ruin it for those of you who haven't read the book or, who want to go in fresh yourself with... You might not even notice if you haven't read it, or if you haven't read it in a long time, you might not know some of the changes. And that might be on me, just some of the things that, were changed, that I'm like, why did you change that? There's no reason to change it that I can think of. Why would you change this? Why would you add characters here? Why would you do this? So that's part of the big problem I had, is changes made to the actual Hobbit story itself, and the way certain things unfold. Martin Freeman, I think he is brilliant as Bilbo Baggins. I think he is a fantastic choice to play Bilbo Baggins because he can bring both that seriousness as well as that, that kind of lighthearted feel to it. You can see his comical sense plays really well in the character of Bilbo. I still think that the movie itself, if the next 2 are like this, it's... When I first heard me 3 movies, I was like, and they said, oh, we're going to talk about the necromancer and all this other stuff going on. I'm like, great. There's so much stuff out there, so much information ready to be turned into this grand story. But if it's just going to be these dragging scenes and the introduction in the start of the movie, I don't understand the need for that at all. Just because you wanted to show us Elijah Wood again, you wanted to show Ian Holm again and give them a nod. Really? They're in the Lord of the Rings. I get it. Do we need to do all this because what? Is it because audiences are too stupid to understand that, well, this takes place before Lord of the Rings? We should have someone sit here and tell us at the beginning of the movie how, well, this is me telling you what happened before, but I'm telling you now as you know me from Lord of the Rings, so that when you look back you can go, well, that doesn't look like Bilbo. I mean, do we really need that? Do we actually need that? That's 15 minutes of the movie that could be lopped off and you could do something a little better. Like I said, some things in the movie, great. The dwarves, brilliant. I love the way the dwarves are. I love the actors they chose. I love the way that they're portrayed. That is great. There are some great fight scenes in here, although there are some scenes I don't understand why they were added. Maybe it will come to light better in the next 2 movies. I don't know. On a scale of 1 to 10, this one really is, it is Dwalin. It is Dwalin the dwarf. Why do I say it's Dwalin? Because he's a dwarf, and that in and of itself is pretty goddamn cool. That is pretty fucking cool. He's a fucking dwarf. Dwarves are fucking awesome. They got axes and hammers and they bash up orcs and shit like that and they mine in the earth and they're awesome. They got their beards, they're fucking cool. So, you got that. He is Dwalin. Dwalin is a dwarf. That's fucking cool. However, Dwalin, at least in the book and somewhat in the movie, Dwalin is like the least mentioned dwarf. He is one of the ones that gets the least amount of attention, and that's kind of what this is. It's like, yeah, he's a fucking dwarf, but, what do you know about him? Meh. It's Dwalin. He's not Thorin. He's not freaking Balin, his brother, who's a great, kind of side character. It's not Fili and Kili. It's Dwalin. Dwalin. That's kind of my new word for meh. Dwalin. How you feeling today? Dwalin. Dwalin. And that's what this one was for me. It was a total big ball of Dwalin. So, that's all I have for this one. Until next time, you stay safe out there in the wasteland. And if I'm wrong, tell me why I'm wrong. I want to know what you got out of it, especially those of you who haven't read the book. I want to know how you felt about it if you aren't familiar that much with the story. I want to know how you interpret it, because this could be me not being able to separate myself enough from a story that I have read so many times, a story that was such a part of my childhood, even more so than Lord of the Rings, that maybe I couldn't distance myself enough from the source material. So, take it easy. Stay safe in the wasteland, folks. Dwalin.